In the stillness of night, we open an ancient book whose pages have grown soft with time. The ink of history tells not only of battles and kingdoms, but of quieter truths, how the human spirit has always longed for meaning, for connection, for light in the dark. Tonight we wander through the forgotten conflicts of old, not as wars of anger, but as whispers of belief. Each story drifts like incense smoke, carrying us across deserts, temples, rivers, and mountains, where faith once clashed and yet also healed. As you listen, allow these echoes of the past to soothe you, to remind you that even in times of struggle, the heart searches for peace, and the soul always finds its way back to stillness. If these stories bring you rest, gently subscribe and let this sanctuary of words return to you each night. Share in the comments where your heart is listening from. Together, we form a circle of quiet across the world. The desert opens like a vast and endless dream. Golden sands stretch outward, touched by the last light of a fading sun. The air is warm yet soft, like a blanket laid gently over the earth. In this stillness, the sky grows wide, and the first stars blink awake above the horizon. You drift across this quiet land. The dunes rise and fall like the slow breathing of the world itself. Each step you take leaves no mark, for the wind moves quickly to heal the ground. The desert carries memories in silence, guarding stories, as if they were sacred treasures buried beneath the sand. Here in Mesopotamia long ago, temples stood like islands in a sea of stone and dust. Their walls rose toward the sky, seeking to touch the heavens. Some were small, built of clay and brick, while others towered like mountains made by human hands. Within those sacred walls, priests lit fires, sang hymns, and whispered names of gods who once ruled the hearts of their people. The air still remembers their voices. The desert holds them, like a mother holding her children, even when they are gone. Long ago, people here believed the land was alive with the breath of many gods. There was the god of the sun, the god of the moon, the god of storm and sky, the god of rivers that carved life into the earth. Each temple belonged to a name, each altar to a spirit. But sometimes names collided. A temple to the moon rose beside a temple to the sun. A priest of one would lift his prayer, while another called out differently. Softly, gently, their voices crossed, like two winds brushing against each other in the night. The people followed the gods they felt closest to. Some sought the cool silver of the moon, for it brought rest and healing after long days of labor. Others turned to the blazing sun, for its warmth brought harvest and survival. Still others feared the storm, and bowed to the god who sent rain and lightning. To us, lying here in the calm of night, it may sound like conflict, but to them, it was simply devotion. Different paths carved into the same earth, leading toward the same horizon. In the hush of the desert, you may imagine those temples, their stone steps worn smooth by countless feet, their clay walls painted with colors that have long faded into dust, lamps flickering in dark chambers, the smoke of incense rising like gentle clouds, carrying prayers upward to a sky full of watching stars. Each prayer was a hope. Each chant was a dream. Each god, in their way, was a mirror of the human heart. Sometimes the temples disagreed, and voices of faith clashed like distant thunder. But even thunder, after it passes, leaves the air clear and open for new light. The people still walked the same desert, still drank from the same rivers, still shared the same bread beneath the same sky. The desert wind is soft tonight. It carries the scent of memory. You may hear in its sigh the whispers of long-forgotten priests. They do not argue now. Their voices flow together, blending into one stream, like rivers that meet and join as one. Imagine the ziggurats, great step temples rising above the earth. From afar, they looked like mountains carved by hands. On their tops, fires burn, flames against the night sky. The people believed the gods could see the fire, could follow its light, and descend to bless the land. One temple would call to Enlil, god of the wind. Another would honor Inanna, goddess of love and war. Another would whisper to Nana, the moon god. And though their chants were different, they all rose into the same heavens. They mingled above, drifting like stars in the same sky. Close your eyes and drift further. Imagine walking the streets of an ancient city, now silent but once alive with footsteps. Markets full of clay jars, woven cloth and baskets of dates. Children playing in the dust. Travelers leading camels and donkeys, their bells ringing gently in the heat. Above all, the temples stood, watching, protecting, guiding. They were the heartbeat of the city, a reminder that life was fragile and that something greater breathed beyond the reach of human hands. And even when conflicts arose, when one temple argued that their god was stronger, when another priest declared that their goddess ruled more kindly, it was always born from the same longing. The longing to understand, the longing to belong, the longing to find safety in the vastness of the world. The desert does not remember quarrels. It remembers silence. It remembers how all voices in time become one soft echo. Tonight, as you rest, you may hear that echo. Not sharp, not loud, but gentle, like the hum of bees, like the rustle of palm leaves in the night wind. It is the sound of ancient faith, not divided, but blended, like colors mixing into one soft glow. The gods of Mesopotamia may be forgotten by name, but their essence lingers, for they were born from human hearts, and the heart, even now, still asks the same questions, still whispers the same prayers, for love, for safety, for light, for tomorrow. As you drift further, the stars above shine brighter. The constellations that once guided farmers and priests still glow, unchanged. Perhaps the people of old looked upon them just as you do now, and felt both small and comforted. For the stars belong to no single temple. They belong to all who look upward in wonder. The desert stretches without end, yet in its emptiness there is peace. No voices argue here. No temples rise to compete. Only sand, wind, and stars all joined in eternal stillness. Let yourself feel that stillness now. Let it move through your breath, slow and calm. Let it soften your thoughts, until they too drift like sand in the gentle wind. The temples of forgotten gods crumble, but the peace of the desert remains. The stories may fade, but their meaning lingers, like footprints washed smooth by time. In this moment, there is no conflict, no division, only rest. The same rest the ancients longed for after their long days, after their prayers, after their struggles. They looked to the sky, seeking calm. You do the same now. The desert of forgotten gods is not empty. It is full of quiet blessings, full of voices that no longer argue but hum together, like a lullaby carried by the wind. Now let the sands cradle you. Let the stars guard you. Let the temples, though fallen, stand in your memory like gentle guardians of sleep. You are safe in this desert, safe beneath the stars, safe in the arms of time itself. And as the winds grow softer, let yourself drift onward, beyond the ruins, beyond the temples, into the wide stillness where all voices rest as one. Night settles softly over the desert, and the Nile glimmers like a ribbon of silver under the moon. Its waters move without hurry, carrying the memory of countless centuries. Palms bend along the banks, their leaves whispering in the night air, and reeds sway gently as if bowing in prayer. You drift closer to the river. The water hums with a voice of its own, deep and steady, as though it remembers every chant, every offering, every whispered hymn that once rose along its shores. The Nile is more than water. It is a mirror of the sky, a bridge between earth and the divine, a lifeline that cradled Egypt through ages untold. In this calm, temples rise from the shadows. Their walls glow faintly in the starlight, carved with stories of gods and kings. Torches burn low at their gates, their smoke curling like prayers that never fade. Here, the people once gathered. Priests lifted their voices, their songs carrying across the water, soft and rhythmic like the lapping of waves. Long ago, hymns were woven into the fabric of life. To honor Horus, falcon of the sky, voices rose clear, praising his wings that guarded both king and kingdom. To Isis, mother of magic and healing, songs poured like water, tender and full of devotion. And to Ra, the sun itself, the chants grew strong and radiant, echoing the first light of dawn. Each hymn was different. Some rose with power, others with gentleness. Some called for strength, others for mercy. Yet all floated together into the night sky, blending above the river, becoming one with the stars. Still, beneath the harmony, quiet division stirred. Priests of one god guarded their temple closely, while others believed their deity to be the truest, the brightest. These were not wars of swords, but of words and worship. Altars stood side by side, each flame flickering against the dark, each trying to shine brighter than the rest. And yet the Nile, patient and eternal, carried them all. Listen to the rhythm of that ancient river. It does not choose. It does not divide. It flows. The Nile carried grain for the farmer, clay for the potter, and fish for the hungry. It carried songs from one temple to another, blending them into a single hymn of the land. Even when priests whispered their disagreements, the river softened their voices, folding them into its endless lullaby. Imagine standing at dawn when the first light touches the water. A priest of Ra raises his chant, his voice rising like the sun itself. The people gather, their faces glowing in the morning light. Then, as the day moves on, another group sings for Osiris, god of life and death, calling for blessing on the fields. In the evening, hymns for Isis drift like quiet prayers of love and healing. Morning to night, the hymns circle the day, just as the Nile circles the land. Close your eyes and picture the temples of old. Their columns are tall, carved with lotus flowers and wings of falcons. The stone is cool and silent, yet alive with echoes of music. Inside, the chambers glow with candlelight, golden against the darkness. Incense drifts upward, its fragrance sweet and calming, wrapping the worshippers in a gentle embrace. The priests move slowly, robes flowing like the river itself. Their voices do not rush. They rise and fall with a rhythm as natural as breathing. Each syllable stretches like a note drawn out by the wind. Outside, the people listen, their heads bowed, their hearts steady. In those moments, differences fade. For whether the hymn is to Ra or Isis or Horus, all carry the same longing. A longing for protection, for guidance, for the comfort of knowing the gods are near. Beneath the golden sun, though, small tensions stirred. Some believed Ra's light was the only true source of life. Others trusted Osiris, the one who ruled beyond death. Some whispered that Isis, the mother, was the most merciful. Yet in the quiet of night, when stars filled the sky, their voices softened, and the Nile accepted them all. It is said the river was a gift of the gods, a thread binding heaven to earth. And perhaps that is why it soothed every song, carrying devotion without judgment. The Nile did not ask whose god was greater. It simply reflected the moon, the stars, the sun. It offered water for the thirsty, calm for the restless, and a path for the lost. You drift deeper now. The sound of the river is like a cradle, rocking you slowly. The hymns of the priests are not sharp or clashing anymore. They are one stream, flowing together like many voices humming in harmony. The hymn to Ra shines like dawn. The hymn to Isis soothes like a mother's embrace. The hymn to Horus spreads its wings like a shadow across the sky. The hymn to Osiris whispers of cycles, of endings and beginnings. Together, they weave a song of life itself. The temples may crumble, the priests may be gone, but the hymns remain, carried in the air, hidden in the stones, echoing in the hearts of those who still look to the Nile with wonder. The gods, whether remembered or forgotten, are not far away. Their names are carved into the rhythm of the earth, into the rising and falling of the waters, into the glowing path of the sun and the moon. And so the desert night does not feel empty. It feels full, full of presence, full of memory, full of quiet blessing. Let the river flow through your mind now. Let its steady song carry you further into rest. Imagine its waters smoothing away all edges, carrying away all noise, leaving only calm behind. The hymns beneath the Nile still sing, not in conflict but in harmony. They are soft as reeds brushing in the night air. They are slow as the drifting current. They are eternal as the stars. You are safe beside this river, safe in its ancient embrace, safe in the care of the hymns that never end. Now rest as the moonlight falls across the Nile, and let its silver light guide you deeper into sleep. Let us drift onward into the next dream, carried gently on the river of time. High in the mountains, where the air grows thin and cool, the night sky stretches wide and clear. Stars glow like silver fires above, while deep valleys lie in shadows below. The wind moves slowly through the rocks, carrying with it a voice that feels both ancient and eternal. You stand at the edge of a mountain path. The stones are cold beneath your feet and the air tastes pure, untouched. Far ahead, a faint light glimmers, steady and warm, not of the moon, but of fire, a sacred flame that has burned without end. Its glow dances softly, guiding you forward like a lantern through the dark. These are the mountains of Persia. Long ago, they were home to temples where fires burned day and night, tended with devotion. For the followers of Zarathustra, the flame was more than heat or light. It was a symbol of truth, a reflection of the eternal fire that lived within creation itself. Imagine entering one of these mountain temples. Its walls are carved from stone, cool and silent. The chamber is simple with little decoration, for nothing is needed except the flame. It rises in the center, golden and alive, its shadows swaying against the stone. Priests move slowly around it, their robes brushing the floor. With each step, they guard the flame, feeding it with clean wood, protecting it from wind and dust. To them, the fire is the breath of Ahura Mazda, the wise lord of creation. It shines as a promise that truth will always outlast darkness. Every flicker, every spark, reminds them of the struggle between light and shadow, between wisdom and confusion. Yet here, in the stillness, the flame is not fierce. It is calm, steady, and soothing like a heartbeat. But the mountains held many voices. In caves and hidden valleys, other fires also burned. Small cults rose, their altars glowing in the dark. Some honored spirits of the land, others bowed to older gods whose names are now lost. Their chants drifted through the cliffs, echoing against stone, carried by the same winds that brushed against the sacred flame of Zarathustra's followers. The winds carried whispers of difference, of quiet rivalry. Which fire was the truest? Which god the most faithful? The mountains heard them all. They did not choose. They only listened, holding each voice in their vast silence. Close your eyes and feel the presence of these flames. Each one has its own rhythm. One crackles with energy, another hums low and steady, another burns small but stubborn. Yet when the wind carries their warmth together, they feel like one fire, scattered yet connected, as though the mountains themselves are lit from within. The people who came to these fires sought comfort in the same way. Some longed for clarity, some for protection, some for healing. Their prayers rose upward like sparks, vanishing into the endless night sky. The stars above looked down, reflecting those prayers, holding them in quiet memory. At dawn, the mountain fires glowed softer, touched by the first light of the sun. For the Zoroastrian priests, this was the holiest moment. The sun, greatest of flames, rose from the horizon, joining its light to the fire on earth. The sky turned gold, and the world seemed embraced by warmth. They believed that truth was like the sun, clear, strong, unable to be hidden. To live in truth was to live in light. To stray from it was to wander into shadow. Yet even in their devotion, they knew shadows would always exist. And so they kept the fire alive, a reminder that even in the deepest night, light remains. Other groups watched their sunrises too, whispering their own chants, lifting their own offerings. To some, the mountain was a god. To others, the river below was divine. But still, they paused at dawn, eyes turned to the same horizon, hearts touched by the same sun. The mountains themselves seemed to bless these devotions. Their peaks glowed with light, their caves filled with echo, their winds carried songs far across the land. The mountains did not see conflict. They only saw human hearts reaching upward. Imagine now sitting beside one of those ancient fires. The stone floor is cool beneath you. The flames glow gently, warming your face. The crackle of wood is steady like a lullaby. Shadows sway on the walls, soft and slow. The air smells faintly of smoke, but it is clean and pure, like incense offered to the night. The priest nearby whispers a hymn. His voice calm and unhurried. His words are not sharp. They are round and flowing, meant to soothe, not to command. You do not need to understand the language to feel its peace. It settles into your breath, calming your thoughts, easing your heart. Beyond these walls, other fires flicker in the distance. Some burn high, others low. Some are watched carefully, others are left alone. Their caretakers may disagree, their chants may differ, but the flames themselves do not argue. Fire only burns. Fire only gives. And so the mountains glow with many lights, each one a reflection of human longing, each one a reminder that in darkness, people have always reached for flame. The night deepens again. The stars shimmer brightly over the peaks and the wind softens, moving like a sigh through the valleys. The sacred flame still burns, steady and golden. Its glow seems eternal, as though it has always been here and always will be. It whispers of truth, of clarity, of the quiet strength that comes from light. It asks nothing, yet it gives warmth freely. It does not divide. It does not fade. It simply shines, a companion in the night. Let yourself rest in that glow. Feel its calm. Let its warmth sink into you, loosening every thought, softening every edge. The mountains of Persia hold many forgotten fires. Some still burn, others are only ashes now. Yet all of them tell the same story. The story of people searching for light, for safety, for a guide through the night. And perhaps that is the gift of fire. It reminds us that even in darkness, there is always something to hold on to. Always a flame, however small, that shows the way. Now the night is quiet. The wind is gentle. The fire before you glows softly like a star on earth. Its light is steady, its warmth unending. Rest beside it. Breathe with it. Let its calm fill you. For the fires of the mountains are no longer rivals. They are memories, blending into one soft glow across the land. And as the stars wheel above, as the mountains sleep, let yourself drift onward, carried by the warmth of forgotten flames, into the deep rest of night. Night falls softly across the ancient hills. The stones are still warm from the sun, and the air carries the quiet scent of olives and earth. Above, the stars stretch wide, endless, like silver lamps hung in a dark blue temple. This is Canaan, a land of prophets and kings, of altars built and altars broken. Here, walls were raised to mark what was holy, and here too, walls crumbled in silence. The land breathes with memory. Every step of its soil carries the echo of prayer. Every stone once held the touch of hands that sought to reach heaven. And in the distance, the murmur of unseen voices flows, like a soft river beneath the wind. Tribes came from the desert with songs of promise. Others had already planted roots, tending fields of barley, vineyards heavy with fruit, flocks resting by still waters. Each people carried with them stories of their gods, of fire, of rain, of the sky above. And here on the same soil, those stories met, and sometimes pressed against each other. Altars rose on hills, sharp against the twilight. Some built them of smooth stone, polished by careful hands. Others stacked rough rocks, raw from the earth, darkened by smoke and sacrifice. Every altar looked upward. Every altar, in its own way, whispered, "Here is where heaven touches the ground." Yet not all could agree. Some prayed to the storm god, calling for rain upon their crops. Others sang to the one unseen, the eternal whose name could not be spoken aloud. And so the land became a weaving of voices, some harmonious, some in quiet rivalry. The winds carried their prayers like threads, binding sky and earth in invisible knots. Among the hills, walls began to rise. Walls of mud brick, walls of stone cut smooth, walls of cedar gates bound with bronze. They circled towns and temples, keeping some within, holding others out. But walls do not only stand in earth and clay, they also stand in the heart. The walls of Canaan were not always built to keep enemies away. Sometimes they were built to guard what was sacred. To say, this place belongs to the divine, enter with clean hands and a quiet soul. And yet the same walls could divide one tribe from another, one altar from the next. A reminder that even in the yearning for heaven, people sometimes turn against each other. Still, when the sun set and the fires burned low, silence returned. The walls glowed softly in moonlight. The air cooled, the night birds sang, and in those hours all voices hushed into one breath of earth. In that silence, even walls seemed to listen. There are stories of Jericho, the city of walls. Its gates strong, its towers proud. The people believed their walls were eternal, that no wind, no hand could bring them down. But in time, even those walls fell. Not with the roar of fire, nor the clash of endless battle, but with sound. The sound of horns, the sound of voices lifted to the sky. The story says the walls cracked, as if stone itself remembered that it was never stronger than the breath of the divine. And when the walls gave way, the silence afterward was deeper than before. For what once separated heaven and earth, inside and outside, had been broken open. The land stood bare again, open to the sky. Beyond Jericho, other towns rose and fell. Altars were torn down, then built again, sometimes in the very same places. Each generation reaching, hopping, yearning to touch eternity. To walk in a space where the sacred was close enough to hear, close enough to feel in the skin like sunlight. The people of Canaan often sought mountains. There in the thin air, closer to the stars, they offered smoke and song. They called upon the one they believed watched from above. Mountains became stairways of longing. And when the prayers rose with the smoke, the people believed their words brushed against the hem of heaven. Yet others turned to valleys. They believed holiness was not only above but also below, in the soil, in the seed, in the hidden springs that flowed in darkness. They poured offerings into the earth, asking life to return again and again. So whether mountain or valley, each sought the same: connection, blessing, nearness to the eternal mystery. Conflicts came, as they always do, when stories touch and overlap. Tribes quarreled about which God was true, which altar was most pure, which prayer the sky would hear. Yet beneath the quarrels, a quiet truth lingered. Each tribe longed for the same embrace. Each hand reached toward the same unseen light. When battles ended and the fires of war cooled, the land always fell back to silence. Olive groves swayed, rivers ran clear, shepherds led their flocks under the stars. The earth itself seemed to sigh, reminding all who lived upon it that it belonged to no one and to everyone. Sacred ground does not choose sides. It only waits, holding memory in stillness. The prophets walked these paths too. They spoke to the people in soft, urgent tones, calling them to remember to return. Some warned of walls too high, altars too proud. Some pointed to the heart, saying the true temple was within, where no stone could fall. Their words drifted across the land like seed scattered by hand. Some fell on stone, some fell in soil, some still bloom today in quiet hearts. As night deepens over Canaan, the walls stand quiet again. Some lie in ruins, broken by time. Others still rise, worn but strong, shadows against the starlight. Yet whether broken or standing, they all share the same silence. They are no longer voices of rivalry, but markers of memory. The land itself breathes peace. It remembers both the songs of conflict and the whispers of love. It remembers the footsteps of tribes, the tears of prophets, the dreams of kings. And through all of it, one truth shines. Beneath every altar, behind every wall, every soul longed for heaven's touch upon the earth. Now let the listener rest here. Imagine lying upon that ancient soil, under the stars that have never dimmed. The air is cool, the walls far away, the silence close and kind. The ground is steady beneath you, the heavens vast above. No walls divide you from this peace. Let the stars watch over you, as they watched over prophets and shepherds long ago. Let the quiet wind carry away all heaviness, all noise. Here the walls of Canaan are silent, and the silence is gentle. Drift now into stillness. Drift into the breath of the earth. The story sleeps, the land sleeps, and you too may rest. Now the night carries you onward, soft as a prayer. The stars return, and you drift onward into sleep. The night opens above the Aegean, wide and deep, filled with stars. The sea is calm, its surface silvered by the moon. Waves move slowly, brushing against the stones of quiet harbors, as though whispering a lullaby too ancient to be forgotten. Here, scattered like pearls upon the waters, the Greek isles rest. Olive trees bend gently in the night breeze. Marble columns rise, pale and still, holding shadows that stretch long across the ground. It is a land where voices once lifted in song, where praises to many gods mingled and crossed like threads in a woven cloth. In those times, every island had its own song. Some sang to Zeus, high upon his throne of thunder. Others turned to Apollo, golden with the sun's light, holding his lyre of harmony. Still others whispered hymns to Artemis, to Demeter, to gods of sea and earth and sky. Each hymn was like a wave, small on its own, yet endless when joined with the sea. But with song came rivalry. One cult raised its altar here, while another guarded its shrine there. Festivals swelled with joy, but also with quiet tension. Whose god was greater, whose hymn would the winds carry farther? Yet beneath the surface, each voice was reaching for the same mystery, the same touch of the divine. Imagine the night of a festival. Torches flicker along the stone streets. The air is sweet with wine and herbs. In the distance, the rhythm of drums echoes against marble walls. A procession moves slowly. Priests, singers, dancers, their footsteps gentle as they circle the sacred fire. Some call upon Dionysus, god of vines, with laughter soft and wild. Others chant to Athena, whose wisdom shines like a lantern in the dark. The hymns rise together, at times clashing, at times blending, like many birds calling across the same sky. The sea listens. The mountains listen. The stars above remain still, reflecting each sound like mirrors of eternity. On Delos, the island of birth, Apollo and Artemis were once cradled by the arms of their mother. There, worshippers sang beneath the olive branches, praising the twins of light and hunt. Their voices carried across the waves, so that other islands heard faint echoes, as if the sea itself repeated the hymns. Yet far away on another shore, other voices rose to Poseidon, Lord of the waters. They prayed for safe passage, for calm seas, for fish to fill their nets. When their chants traveled over the water, they mingled with the songs of Delos, neither one silencing the other, but weaving together like currents beneath the moon. Rivalries did not always end in peace. There were times when one cult defaced another's shrine, or when a procession claimed a sacred path already taken by another. But when night returned, when the torches burned out and the festivals ended, silence always came back to the isles. Silence that wrapped the marble in silver. Silence that cooled the olive groves. Silence that revealed the truth hidden beneath the noise. All were reaching upward. All were longing for light. The Greek poets sang of the muses, spirits of song, dance, and story. They were said to dwell upon Mount Helicon, fountains of inspiration flowing at their feet. But the muses were not bound to a single place. They drifted on winds, over sea and isle, touching the hearts of mortals. A fisherman might feel them in the rhythm of waves. A shepherd might hear them in the sound of a flute at dusk. And in temples, priests felt their presence guiding the hymns, carrying them closer to the gods. The songs themselves became offerings, not only gifts of grain or wine or incense, but gifts of breath, of heart, of soul. Each note was a bridge, fragile yet radiant, stretching between mortal and divine. The aisles were filled with marble pillars. Some rose high, carved with skill, white against the blue sky. Others had fallen, half buried in soil, softened by moss and time. Around them, voices gathered, lifting chants that lingered among the stones. The sound of hymns against marble was like water against cliffs, endless, patient, shaping memory in silence. One shrine might echo with flutes, another with drums, another with the solemn recitation of poetry. Each rhythm was different, yet all pointed to the same sky above, the same sea below. The gods might have been many, but the yearning was one. The sea itself became part of the worship. Travelers carried their faith from one isle to another, their ships rocking gently under starlight. As oars dipped in rhythm, sailors sang low hymns to keep time, asking protection from gods both near and far. When they reached new shores, they brought their songs with them, weaving them into the local hymns. In this way, belief flowed like water, never still, always moving, always reshaped by the hands and voices of those who carried it. The Aegean winds remember these songs. On quiet nights, when the listener closes their eyes, it is said the winds still hum faintly. A fragment of a hymn to Apollo, a whisper of praise to Demeter, a soft cry to the sea. Though temples have crumbled, though pillars have fallen, the songs remain, held by air and tide. The olive groves listen. The marble listens. The earth listens. For even when voices fade, the longing within them stays alive, like embers beneath ash. Now the listener drifts among these aisles. You may imagine yourself walking slowly along a moonlit shore, the sand cool, the water brushing your feet. In the distance, you hear a faint song, half remembered, half dreamed. It rises, then fades, like the call of a bird across water. You do not need to know whose hymn it is, nor which god it honors. You only feel its peace, its devotion, its gentle rhythm guiding you into stillness. The stars above shine, as they once shone upon the singers. The sea below sighs, as it once sighed beneath their boats. And the islands rest, carrying both harmony and dissonance, yet now only silence remains. So let your mind rest here. Let the sea cradle you, like a mother rocking her child. Let the olive branches sway softly above you, their shadows falling light upon your skin. The hymns have been sung. The marble has listened. The winds have carried the prayers away. Now all is quiet. Now the songs are only echoes, and the echoes are only dreams. Rest as the Greek Isles rest. Rest as the sea breathes slow, and drift onward into sleep. The night is deep. The stars return, and you drift onward. The night is gentle over Rome. Starlight falls across broken columns and quiet arches. The marble of the Forum glows faintly, as though it still remembers the touch of thousands of hands, the sound of thousands of footsteps. A soft wind drifts through the ruins, carrying the memory of prayers spoken long ago. In this space, many voices once rose together. The empire was vast, stretching from distant deserts to green northern hills. And in its heart, here in the Forum, the gods of many lands gathered. Temples stood side by side, shrines to Jupiter, to Mars, to Venus, to the foreign deities carried by travelers, soldiers, and merchants. It was a place of light and shadow, where belief was both united and divided, a chorus both harmonious and uncertain. Imagine walking slowly through the forum at dusk. The stone beneath your feet is warm from the day's sun. Torches are lit one by one, their flames flickering softly. Columns rise around you, some tall and unbroken, others worn by time, yet each holding whispers of ancient faith. Every arch, every carving, every statue glimmers faintly, as though touched by divine breath. You hear faint hymns. One group prays to Jupiter, father of gods, offering wine and incense. Another gathers at the temple of Vesta, where sacred fire burns, tended with quiet devotion. And not far away, foreign gods have found their homes here too. Isis from Egypt, Mithras from Persia, Cybele from Phrygia. Their altars glow with candles, their worshippers soft in their songs. In this mingling of prayers, Rome became a mirror of the world it ruled. The Romans honored many gods, yet each household carried its own spirit of faith. Inside homes, small shrines stood in corners, where families left bread, wine, or flowers for the spirits of their ancestors. These quiet offerings were no less sacred than the grand festivals of the Forum. The hearth, the flame, the memory of loved ones, all were bridges between mortal life and the unseen. Still, not all was harmony. When new faiths arrived, they did not always rest easily beside the old. The cult of Mithras met in hidden chambers, where only initiates gathered. The worshippers of Isis sang hymns by the river, lifting their voices toward the stars. And as the empire changed, whispers of yet newer teachings began to drift through the streets, words of one God, one light, one way. The Forum, once filled with so many altars, became a place of quiet struggle, as faiths rose and fell like shadows across stone. But let us not dwell on conflict. Let us listen instead to the softness beneath it, the same longing, the same hope that moved each worshipper. One man knelt before Mars, asking for strength in battle. Another offered fruit to Venus, praying for love to grow in his heart. A mother lit incense for Vesta, asking for warmth and safety within her home. And a foreign sailor, far from his birthplace, poured water to Isis, hopping for safe passage across seas. Though the names were many, the yearning was the same. Every prayer rose like smoke, curling upward into the night sky. Every hymn drifted into the same silence, where stars listened without judgment. In the Forum, beneath the marble and arches, hearts bowed not only to gods, but to the mystery beyond them all. Picture the festival days. The Forum alive with music, drums echoing between stone walls. Garlands of flowers wound around pillars. Children ran with laughter, holding small idols in their hands. Priests in white robes raised their voices, chanting as incense curled upward. The air was heavy with scent, wine, olive oil, fresh bread, and the smoke of sacrifice. Yet above the noise, the sky remained still, wide and endless, cradling it all. Later, when the crowds departed and torches burned low, silence returned. The marble cooled in the night air. Statues stood motionless, eyes gazing into eternity. And the Forum, for a brief moment, belonged only to shadows and stars. The Romans often spoke of Fortuna, the goddess of fate. Her wheel turned endlessly, lifting some, lowering others. To her they prayed for luck, for safety, for prosperity. And yet beneath this belief in shifting fortune, there was always the deeper truth. Life itself was fragile, and the divine was sought to steady it. In temples, flames burned through the night. Priests kept watch, reciting prayers, as if guarding not only the gods, but the fragile hearts of those who believed. For in faith, people found comfort, comfort against uncertainty, against the unknown paths of destiny. Now, drift once more into the Forum. The air is cool. Shadows stretch long beneath the arches. You pause before an altar, where a single flame flickers. It could be a flame for Jupiter, or for Isis, or for Mithras, or for a household spirit forgotten by time. It does not matter. The warmth touches you gently, reminding you that every fire, every prayer is part of the same search for light. The empire has faded. The temples stand in ruin. The forum is now only stones and silence. But the shadows still hold memory. If you listen closely, you may hear them. A whisper of Latin prayers. A hymn carried from Egypt. The low murmur of footsteps on marble, long vanished, yet still echoing in the air. Faith, like shadow, never disappears. It lingers soft and unbroken, moving gently through time. And in that shadow, the human heart continues to bow, continues to search, continues to dream. So rest now, here among the ancient stones. Let the silence of the forum cradle you. Let the faint glow of forgotten flames guide you deeper into stillness. The gods of Rome have spoken their hymns. The shadows of the forum have listened. And now only peace remains. Drift onward into night. Drift onward as the stars return. And rest in the quiet heart of Rome. The night opens wide above the steps. A great sky stretches in every direction, endless and deep. Stars scatter across it like silver dust, each one shimmering with ancient memory. Beneath this sky, the grasslands roll out in quiet waves, touched by the breath of the wind. There is no wall, no temple, no boundary, only open earth, open air, and the voices of spirits hidden in the breeze. The steppes of Central Asia once belonged to wandering riders, herders, and dreamers. They lived close to the land, beneath the sky they called eternal. For them, heaven was not far above. It was present, living, a dome that watched over every hoofbeat, every fire, every whispered prayer. The people lifted their eyes to the sky, and they spoke to it as to a parent, a guide, a shelter. Listen now. The grass sways softly, like the rhythm of a drum. Far in the distance, you hear a low, steady beat, a shaman's drum rising into the night. It does not rush. It moves like a slow heart, calling the spirit world near. Around a fire, figures gather. The flames dance upward, painting faces in gold and shadow. The shaman sits at the center, cloak of fur and feathers wrapped around shoulders, head bowed in reverence. With each strike of the drum, the veil between worlds grows thinner. The people breathe together. The wind joins them, moving gently through the grass, carrying their song into the sky. The spirits of the steppe were many. Some were the souls of ancestors, watching with quiet eyes. Some lived in rivers, guarding the flow of life. Others rode the clouds, sending rain, lightning, and storm. And above all was the eternal blue sky, vast and unshakable, the great expanse that cradled all things. To this sky the people offered milk, the pure gift of their herds poured gently onto the earth. Every offering was a thread, tying the human heart to the endless heavens above. Imagine riding a horse across these plains. The hooves strike the earth with a steady rhythm, matching the beat of the drum. The air is wide, carrying the cry of eagles overhead. Your eyes lift to the horizon, but it never ends. Everywhere you look, the sky is near. Everywhere you breathe, the spirits are present. Shamans told of journeys into this sky. With drum and chant, they let their souls travel beyond the body. They climbed the invisible tree that connected earth to heaven, step by step, branch by branch. At the top, they met spirits who whispered wisdom. Sometimes it was guidance for a sick child. Sometimes it was knowledge for the tribe. And sometimes it was only silence, a silence deeper than any word, reminding them that not all mysteries are meant to be spoken. The steppe was a meeting place of faiths. Travelers came along the Silk Road, carrying not only silk and spices, but stories and beliefs. Some spoke of fire altars, glowing bright in Persian lands. Some carried the sutras of the Buddha, soft words about compassion and release. And in time, others would bring the name of a single god, carried in prayer rugs and holy books. Yet on the open grasslands, all these voices blended with the wind. The shamans still raised their drums. The people still lifted milk to the sky. For in the steppe, every faith was touched by the same vast heavens. Every road led back to the grass, the wind, the stars. Let the scene grow quieter now. The fire burns low. The shaman lays the drum aside. Children sleep, wrapped in furs, their faces peaceful beneath the starlight. The horses stand calm at the edge of the camp, their breath rising in white clouds. Above, the Milky Way stretches like a river of light, flowing from horizon to horizon. The people believed that souls too were like rivers. When life ended, the spirit rose like smoke, carried by the winds into the great sky. There it joined the ancestors, watching and guiding. Death was not the end, but a change of path, another ride across the eternal plains. Sometimes in the quiet of night, a whisper passed through the grass. The people said it was the voices of those who had gone before. Not haunting, not frightening, only a reminder. A gentle call saying, "You are never alone on these steps. We ride with you still." In the morning, sunlight would pour across the land, turning the grass into waves of gold. Songs would rise with the smoke of cooking fires. Men and women would mount their horses, moving with the herds. The sky would remain, blue and endless, watching over it all. Every day was a prayer, though not always spoken. To live in rhythm with wind and grass, to follow the herds, to honor the sky, that was worship. Every breath, every ride, every beat of the drum was part of a greater harmony. Now let the night close again. The fire is ash. The wind has grown softer, a low hum moving across the endless fields. The stars gleam, uncountable, yet close enough to feel like companions. You lie back on the grass, head resting against the earth. The steppe whispers to you. The voices of shaman, ancestors, and spirits drift like smoke around you. They ask nothing. They demand nothing. They only surround you in stillness, reminding you that you too are part of this endless sky. The steppes are eternal. Faiths have come and gone. Armies have marched, empires have risen, roads have stretched across the plains. Yet still the grass sways, the drum beats, and the wind carries whispers through the night. So rest here, under the stars of the steppe. Let the earth be your bed, the sky your blanket, the wind your lullaby. The spirits will keep watch. The ancestors will ride beside you. And the eternal blue sky will hold you in its vast embrace. Now close your eyes and let the whispers guide you deeper into calm. Drift onward into dream. Drift onward as the stars return. Night falls gently upon a wide river valley. The air is warm, touched by the fragrance of earth and water. The moon glimmers on the surface of the Indus, a silver ribbon winding through the ancient land. The river speaks in whispers, carrying echoes of thousands of years. Its voice is low, patient, eternal. Along its banks, fires glow like tiny stars scattered across the earth. Shadows gather around them, priests, singers, wanderers. Some lift their voices in chants, the words of early Vedic hymns. Others bow in silence, eyes upon the flowing waters. Different tongues, different rites, yet all carried by the same stream. The Indus has always been more than a river. It was a path, a mother, a sacred presence. From snowy mountains it was born, flowing down through fields, villages, and forests. Everywhere it touched, life awakened. Crops grew, animals thrived, and people felt the blessing of its current. Imagine standing at its edge. The water moves slowly at night, dark and shining beneath the stars. You hear it lapping against stones, a rhythm as steady as a heartbeat. You place your hand in the stream, and the coolness holds you. as though the river itself is alive. It carries your thoughts, your prayers, your quiet secrets, away into the sea of eternity. For the people of the valley, the river was a bridge between worlds. When they sang to the gods of fire, sky, and dawn, the sound was offered to the river too. When they poured milk or grain into its waters, they believed the gift rose upward, reaching unseen hands in heaven. The river was not only water, it was spirit, flowing through both earth and sky. Yet not all voices along the Indus sang the same songs. Some kept the chants of the Vedas, calling upon Agni, the fire, and Indra, the storm bringer. Others spoke in gentler tones of rivers, trees, and mother goddesses who watched over life. Sometimes their ways touched like ripples meeting in the stream. Sometimes they pulled apart like currents, running in different directions. But the river never chose. It received every offering, every word, every silence. To the Indus, all prayers were water, and all water flowed toward the same sea. The night deepens. A group of singers sits upon woven mats by the bank. Their voices rise in simple, steady rhythm. They sing of creation, of the dawn breaking again and again, of the hidden order behind the stars. Their words float into the darkness, blending with the hum of crickets and the soft rush of the river. Nearby, another circle gathers. They light lamps of oil, small flames that drift upon the surface of the water. Each flame is a prayer for ancestors, for loved ones, for unseen spirits. The lights move away, carried slowly downstream, like stars set adrift on an earthly sky. The two circles do not disturb one another. Their fires glow apart, yet their flames both reflect in the same moving water. The Indus holds them together, as it always has. The river itself was a teacher. It showed that life is movement, never still. It reminded people that strength lies not in walls, but in flowing onward, bending and returning. Even when stones tried to block it, the river found a path. Even when drought made it thin, it endured, waiting for the rains to come. For many, the Indus became a mirror of the soul. Just as the river carried silt to feed the earth, so the spirit carried hidden truths to feed the heart. Just as the river flowed toward the sea, so too the soul was drawn toward the eternal. The people listened, and in its rhythm, they felt their own lives reflected. You drift now with the current. The sound of the water surrounds you, steady and soft. It cradles you like a lullaby, guiding you deeper into peace. Each bend in the river is like a breath, in and out, calm and unbroken. The Indus has known countless voices. Rulers raised stones along its banks, temples where hymns were sung, altars where sacrifices burned. Farmers bent low to its waters, asking only for rain and soil rich enough to feed their families. Children splashed in its shallows, laughing, learning the taste of the sacred without knowing the words. The river remembered them all. Kings and peasants, priests and wanderers, it made no difference. Every face reflected in its surface was accepted. Every prayer carried upon its waves was honored. As the centuries passed, beliefs changed. The gods of fire and storm gave way to gentler paths, to meditations and songs of release. The river listened still. Its water did not resist, did not argue. It only carried the new songs alongside the old, blending them into one great current. Travelers came too, crossing deserts and mountains. They brought their own sacred stories, of other gods, other truths. And still, the Indus welcomed them. Its waters touched their lips, its banks gave them rest, its song lulled them into sleep. Picture now a quiet dawn on the river. Mist rises, soft and pale, curling above the water like smoke. The first rays of sunlight turn the mist into gold. Birds begin to stir in the reeds. Their wings flutter softly, like the turning of pages in an ancient book. Priests stand upon the bank, offering chants to greet the day. Fishermen cast their nets, their eyes steady upon the water. A child sets another lamp afloat, its flame trembling but unbroken. All around, the river listens, receiving without judgment, without end. The river is more than memory. It is promise. Every drop that touches it joins something greater, something endless. The people knew this. When they prayed beside the Indus, they felt themselves part of its flow. They too were being carried, onward and onward toward the sea of eternity. So tonight, as you rest, let the river carry you too. Feel its coolness around you, washing over your thoughts. Hear its rhythm, calm and patient. It gathers your worries, your burdens, and carries them away far downstream until they dissolve into the great ocean. The stars still shine above the valley. The water glimmers beneath them. The fires fade, the singers grow quiet, the lamps drift into the distance. Only the river remains, steady as ever, whispering softly to the night. And in that whisper, there is comfort. No matter the song, no matter the prayer, no matter the path, the river receives them all. It holds them. It carries them. It joins them together, flowing endlessly toward the eternal sea. So rest now by the Indus. Let its current cradle you. Let its voice guide you deeper into peace. Let your spirit drift onward, carried in gentle waters as the stars return. The night grows softer. The air is cool, like silk on the skin. In the distance, the hush of unseen waves blends with the faint whisper of wind moving gently through bamboo. You drift in that in-between world, where dream and waking fold together. And now in this place of rest, a new vision unfolds. It is Japan, long ago. The land is still young in its memory. The mountains rise like sleeping giants, their shoulders wrapped in mist. The sea reaches inward with a patient hand, and the forests bow with ancient reverence. Here, the sun climbs each morning with slow dignity, painting the horizon with gold. And here the temples and shrines of spirit were built, not of stone alone, but of silence, of wood, and of breath. The people spoke of kami, the spirits of wind, river, mountain, and ancestor. They were not far away, not distant rulers, but near. They moved in the rustle of the leaves. They shone in the sweep of the water. They flickered in the candle flame and lingered in the memory of family. Every tree could be a dwelling. Every rock could hold a voice. Every shrine was a doorway into unseen presence. You find yourself walking along a narrow path. It winds through tall grass, soft with dew. Each step is soundless. Each breath is easy. The path leads you toward a torii gate, painted red like a dawn sky. It rises in stillness, marking the threshold between the ordinary and the sacred. Passing beneath it, the air changes. It feels lighter, quieter, as though time itself pauses to bow. Within the shrine grounds, the wooden beams are simple, yet alive with spirit. A bell hangs by a rope of braided straw. Its sound, when touched, is not loud but pure, like a circle opening in the air. Beyond it lies an offering table, rice, water, a branch of evergreen. Nothing heavy, nothing excessive. Just simple gifts, carrying respect from human hands to the unseen world. In these early times, there was no strict division between earth and heaven. The kami moved where they wished. They lived in the river's current, in the mountain's shadow, in the warmth of fire. Some spoke through dreams. Some stayed in silence. But all were honored with quiet reverence. Yet the land also held another memory, rituals of ancestors, old ways carried from village to village. At times, these paths crossed. Shrines of Shinto and rites of clan might stand together, side by side. Whispers of difference stirred, like two breezes meeting at the corner of a field. But always, the river of life carried them both, letting their voices flow together, dissolving where bamboo swayed and night birds called. You walk deeper into the shrine. Lanterns of stone line the way, glowing with gentle fire. Their light is not sharp, but warm and steady, as though it breathes. The bamboo around you leans with soft rhythm, clattering gently like hollow flutes. The sound is not a conflict, not a warning, but a harmony, each stalk bending, each leaf sighing, each gust of wind weaving them into one soft song. In that music, the story of the shrine becomes clear. It is not about winning or losing. It is not about one path silencing another. It is about balance, like water finding its place between the stones. It is about patience, like moss covering the roots of an ancient tree. And it is about reverence, where every breath is a prayer, even if unspoken. At dawn, villagers gather. The air is cool, still touched with night. Children clutch their parents' robes. Elders carry offerings of fruit, grain, or sake. The priest steps forward, his robe flowing like quiet water. He bows to the shrine, bows to the people, bows to the unseen kami. He raises a branch of green leaves. Its tips tremble, scattering drops of water, as if to cleanse the air itself. The sound of a drum begins, low and slow. Each beat is like the heartbeat of the earth. It does not hurry. It does not command. It simply steadies the moment. The villagers join, their voices murmuring chants that rise and fall like waves. The shrine becomes a bridge between seen and unseen, between life and spirit, between present and eternal. For a time you watch, and as you do, a truth settles, as gentle as falling snow. The temple is not only wood. The offering is not only rice. The prayer is not only words. The sacred lives in the breath that moves through it all. It is in the child's laugh that breaks the silence. It is in the elder's bowed head. It is in the wind that moves the lantern flame. And it is in the quiet space of your own heart. Slowly the ceremony ends. The people bow, then drift away, back to their fields and homes. The shrine remains, standing in stillness, like a memory carved into the morning air. The drums fade. The chants fall silent. But the presence does not leave. It lingers like fragrance, like mist, like the last light of dawn resting on a mountain peak. You step once more along the stone path. The Torii gate rises ahead, its red frame glowing softly in the sun's first warmth. Beyond it, the world waits, the daily rhythm of work and family, harvest and rest. But here in this sacred space, you have touched something deeper. Something that flows like water and shines like light. Something that needs no argument, no boundary. Something that simply is. As you walk through the gate, the bamboo stirs again. The stalks creak, the leaves murmur, the wind sighs. Their voices gather together, like an unseen choir blessing your passage. The shrine recedes behind you, but its peace walks beside you still. Night folds back over the land, as if closing a book of dreams. The lanterns fade, the bell stills, the river hums low in the distance. The spirits rest, the ancestors rest, and you too may rest. Let your breath be the tide. Let your body be the mountain. Let your mind be the lantern, glowing quietly in the night. Now drift as the temples fade into mist. Drift as the sun bows low beyond the horizon. Drift as the rustle of bamboo carries you deeper into sleep. The kami are near. The ancestors are near. Peace is near. Now rest as the stars return and the rivers of dream carry you onward. The night returns, like a soft blanket spread across the sky. The air grows still, cool and gentle, carrying the faint breath of high mountain winds. You are drifting once more, stepping out of waking thoughts, moving slowly into the quiet dream of story. Around you, the world is hushed, the stars waiting to be seen. High above the earth, the Andes rise. Their peaks touch the heavens like ancient guardians, wrapped in silver snow. By day, the mountains gleam with fierce light, the sun blazing from above. But at night they grow calm, their ridges softened by shadows, their valleys filled with silence. Here at this height, the stars seem closer. They do not twinkle far away. They shine as though they hang just beyond the hand's reach, scattered jewels in a sky of deep blue. The people of these mountains once lifted their eyes to the heavens, searching for guidance, searching for signs. They saw not only stars but spirits, not only constellations, but gods who shaped the rhythm of their days. The sky was not empty, it was alive. It was a great field of stories, a mirror of the earth below. Listen closely. The wind carries whispers of old songs, songs sung at night beside the fires of stone villages. They speak of Inti, the sun, whose golden face warmed the valleys and made the fields grow. They speak of Mama Killa, the moon, gentle and watchful, guiding tides and dreams alike. And they speak of the stars, the children of sky and earth, each one a companion, each one a teacher. You walk now along a narrow trail. It curves across the mountainside, bordered by low walls of stone. The earth smells of cold soil, touched with the memory of rain. Your steps are steady, though weightless, as though carried by the wind itself. Ahead, a clearing opens, where villagers once gathered beneath the stars. There the night sky spreads wide, unhindered, a canopy of countless lights. Above you, the Milky Way arcs in glowing rivers. The people called it the Mayu, the celestial river. It mirrored the rivers below, flowing through valleys, watering the earth. As the rivers on land gave life to fields, so the river in the sky gave life to dreams. To look upon, it was to remember that all waters were connected, that the heavens and the earth spoke the same language. The villagers pointed to the shapes hidden among the stars. Some saw great animals woven in darkness. A llama bending its neck. A serpent winding across the night. A fox crouching at the edge of the sky. These were not formed by bright stars, but by the deep shadows in between. To their eyes, the void was as full of life as the light. What seemed empty was never empty. It was the space where spirits rested, where they waited, where they breathed. In this vision, no being was forgotten. The animals of the field were reflected in the heavens. The water that trickled from the peaks was reflected in the sky river. The people themselves were reflected in the stars, their ancestors glowing softly above. Every gaze upward was a gaze into memory. Every night was a reunion with what had always been. Yet the mountains held more than comfort. They also held the memory of struggle. For there were times when the gods of sky and gods of earth seemed to pull in different ways. The sun demanded offering, for its fire could scorch or bless. The mountains themselves, vast and immovable, demanded respect, for avalanches could sweep the valleys below. Life was a balance between what blazed above and what towered around. And so the people gave gifts, grain, chicha, the first fruits of harvest, so that both sky and earth would be kind. You stand in that balance now. The night wraps you in its stillness. The stars glow overhead, countless, timeless. The mountains stand silent, their shadows vast. And you feel the truth that the old songs carry. There is no need for conquest between sky and earth. Each holds its place. Each answers the other. Together, they form the circle of life. In the distance, a flute begins to play. Its sound is thin, like wind over bone, yet sweet. It rises, then falls, then rises again. The melody is simple, yet it carries the shape of the mountains and the rhythm of the stars. Drums join, soft and slow, echoing the footsteps of ancestors walking unseen paths. The music weaves through the night like a thread of silver, binding heaven and earth. Around the fire, the villagers lift their voices. They sing of Vurakacha, the great creator, who shaped the sun, moon, and stars, and then walked across the waters of the sea. They sing of the first dawn, when the world awoke from darkness. They sing of journeys, of corn sprouting from the soil, of llamas guiding their steps across narrow cliffs. Their words rise like smoke, curling upward toward the stars, offering gratitude, seeking harmony. As the song fades, silence deepens once more. The fire dims to embers. The children close their eyes, leaning against their mother's shoulders. The elders sit still, gazing upward, letting the stars speak the rest. For in that sky, everything is written, past, present, and future. One only needs to look, to breathe, to trust. You rest now in that same stillness. The air is cool. The mountains are vast. The stars are endless. All around you is safety. All around you is calm. The stories of struggle dissolve into a greater truth, that every light, every shadow, every song belongs to the same great whole. The Andean sky glows quietly above, eternal, watchful, kind. The celestial river flows, carrying with it dreams, memories, and blessings. You drift with it, weightless, without effort. The mountains fade into mist. The songs fade into silence. And only the stars remain, shining softly as guardians of sleep. Now let yourself rest beneath them. Let your breath be the flute's whisper. Let your heart be the drum's slow beat. Let your spirit be the star, glowing gently in the night. The sky is wide. The earth is strong. And you are held by both. Now drift onward as the fire cools, as the river of stars carries you away. Now rest as the stars return and the mountains watch in silence.